This magnificent beast of a Cenobite from the Hellraiser franchise has not appeared in any of the movies, but man, what a sight would it be to see her slitting her own chest to pull out her intestines and interpret them for messages from beyond, as if her intestines were tea leaves or tarot cards. Yep, that's how wild our star of the show, Flagellum, is. A virgin as a human, Flagellum went on to become one of the most important Cenobites in Leviathan's army, and in this video we will explore her obscure but super crazy story. So without further ado, let's begin.
Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
Origin. Sister Flagellum, known as the Watcher of the Order, is one of the most influential figures in the Hellraiser universe, and served as a Cenobite priestess under the command of Leviathan. So you see, if Pinhead was the Hell Priest, this gal here was the priestess. Her role is deeply entrenched in the heart of Hell, where she resides in a state of trance-like deep meditation and is completely cut off from all sensations. In this trance-like state, she contemplates the ideals of Echidna and Basilisk, and reflects on the pure structured order of Hell. Oh, just a side note, these two are not Cenobites, but demons created by Leviathan to maintain order in Hell. They dance away in the center of Hell, and their endless dancing ritual defines and mirrors the essence of Hell itself. She is roused from this meditation only for issues of critical importance. However, she can only be awoken when it is decreed by Leviathan. Now, someone who's so important that only Leviathan can order them has to have a super dark backstory. Prior to becoming a Cenobite, she was not a stranger to the trials of desire and rejection. She was initially committed to preserving her chastity for marriage, but she found herself continually overlooked and rejected by men. Now, this led to a growing sense of frustration, and she started drowning in the sea of unfulfilled desire. As should be expected, this emotional turmoil pushed her towards increasingly elaborate fantasies and the use of exotic and esoteric devices to satisfy her unquenchable thirst for physical pleasure. Her quest for fulfillment ultimately led her to the obsidian rhombus phallus, which was basically a sex toy version of the Lambent configuration. It became the device that proved to be both her ultimate satisfaction and her undoing. It resulted in a tragic self-destructive climax that culminated in her transformation into a Cenobite. In her current existence, Sister Flagellum serves as a vigilant guardian for Leviathan, and her day job is basically sleeping in deep meditation, dreaming of the structured beauty of Hell, and being awakened to confront and quell any signs of chaos. Once order is restored, she returns to her solitary dreams, continuing her eternal vigil in the depths of Hell. And now, let's explore Flagellum's story as depicted in the more obscure comics. Call to Arms. In the story Call to Arms, Flagellum is woken up by Leviathan because chaos and anarchy have spread their ugly wings across the labyrinth. As was the custom, Flagellum is ordered to get the situation back to normal. She is, after all, the Watcher of the Order, and it is her place to uncover the mystery of Hell's imbalance. But how does she do that? She first approaches Leviathan and seeks his help. But she knows better than to expect an answer from her god. As she explores the depths of the labyrinth, she finds blood in one of the walls and knows that something truly sinister is going on. Courtesy of her last vestige of humanity, her first impulse was to flee screaming. But as a soldier in Leviathan's army, her duty is clear. The order must be defended at all costs. I earlier told you about Echidna and the Basilisk and their eternal dance, but what Flagellum sees shocks her. She witnesses the two majestic demons, Echidna and Basilisk, killing each other. Their steady rhythm, a microcosm of Hell's own order, had been traded for the madness of chaos. They tear where they once only touched. Flagellum beseeches Leviathan to let her see through his eyes. She pleads with him to give her his wisdom, and Leviathan shows her the way. She slits her chest to draw out her intestines and reads them as if they were tea leaves or tarot cards. The anthropomancy tells her that there were 6 agents of chaos, 2 together and 4 others. Each of these was an ignorant human nexus in which the underworld turned. She goes on to quote, "A struggle for power along 5 lines, 5 fronts in the war. It is time for the configuration, and it is I who must marshal the forces. I must unleash the stormtroopers from their infinite pits." Flagellum goes to meet the Cenobite called Abigor to seek her help. Together, they come to meet the Face Cenobite, who used to be an actor in the human world, but whose ambitions drove him to murder people and steal their faces, which he would wear as masks. In Hell, he continues his job as an entertainer, but of the most vile and violent kind. Flagellum tells him that she was there on the orders of their lord, and that there were other promise to play. Face shows her 2 masks made of human skins and asks if this new mission would be a tragedy or a comedy. With Face on board, Flagellum goes to Atkins, the one in charge of Hell's armory. Interestingly, Atkins is an angry little Cenobite who doesn't shy away from addressing Leviathan as the bastard Black Diamond, and you know that's blasphemy. However, Leviathan bears him because he knows Atkins' fury is legendary and would come in handy in times of need. Lastly, she goes to Balberith, the librarian of Hell's library where books are made out of human flesh. But there was one soldier left to be summoned, Pinhead, who was called by Leviathan himself. Together, these 5 Cenobites formed a gash called the Vasa Iniquitatis, and now Flagellum carves the faces of the 6 human nexus points of the time of configuration. Through Flagellum, Leviathan speaks to his newly formed gash. First, we have Michael de Courcy, who led his nation and stood between oppression and enlightenment. Since enlightenment meant change, Leviathan preferred oppression. De Courcy was to be taken care of by Abigor. Next, they had to contend with a madman named Leo Shable, who was on the verge of becoming a ruthless murderer, which would have meant that his community would fall into a state of anarchy, which was again detested by Leviathan. The face was sent to Leo Shable. Then we had Lester George and Gillian Elliott, police officers in an inner-city maelstrom. They could rise above the depravity around them and serve their uniform as officers of order, or they could give in to it. However, they were another possible beacon of enlightenment, a big no-no in Leviathan's books. These 2 fell in the hands of Balberith. Then there was Dr. Casey Gioeli, who was on the verge of finding a cure for AIDS, and Pinhead was supposed to help her find that cure. But what of Flagellum? She did not want to miss out on the opportunity to serve her lord. However, Flagellum was sent to the deepest pits of hell to resume her previous work. And as for the Vasa Iniquitatis, they did their jobs, but that's a story for another day. Powers and abilities. Flagellum was quite a formidable Cenobite and shared the common traits of her kind. She had immense strength and was resilient to all forms of physical harm. In fact, she was also a master of dark magic, and needless to say, she was an immortal. Interestingly, but not surprisingly, her capacity to endure pain is exceptional, even among Cenobites, due to her ritualistic self-flagellation and mutilation, which is how she gets her name. She has the ability to levitate at will, which most Cenobites cannot do, and practices anthropomancy, a rare and ancient form of divination that interprets the future by reading entrails. Additionally, Flagellum maintains a psychic connection with Leviathan, receiving its directives telepathically and communicating them to her fellow Cenobites. She can even speak as Leviathan to other Cenobites. Marvelous verdict. Clearly, Flagellum is an uber-powerful and influential Cenobite who has a lot of responsibilities in the labyrinth. She not only has to take care of maintaining order, but also has to serve as a bridge between Leviathan and his minions. Yes, Pinhead is still Hell's priest and Leviathan's main guy, but that does not diminish the role that Flagellum has to play. So that was all in this one. And if you've reached this point in the video, I'm pretty sure you'd be interested in checking out our playlist on the Hellraiser franchise, which is everything from origin stories and anatomy videos to some really detailed lists.
If you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.